Before we descend into the shadows of the past, take a moment to find the center of your own stillness. Feel the weight of your blankets as they settle over you, a soft, protective layer between you and the world outside. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Release the tension in your jaw. The day is behind you now. Its noise, its lights, and its frantic pace have dissolved into the cool ink of the night. Breathe in slowly, feeling the cool air fill your lungs, and exhale even more slowly, letting go of the 21st century. Imagine the blue glow of screens and the hum of electricity fading, replaced by the flickering amber light of a dying hearth. You are safe here. You are drifting. The air around you is turning thick with the scent of wood smoke and aged parchment. We are leaving the bright, sterile present behind, stepping across a bridge of shadows, moving backward through the centuries until the ground beneath your feet turns to worn, uneven basalt. The journey is long, but you are weightless. The year is 52 AD. The sun has long since dipped below the 7 hills of Rome, but the city does not truly sleep, it only exhales. We find ourselves standing at the edge of the Subura, the most densely packed, pulsing, and visceral district of the ancient capital. The air here is a living thing. It does not merely sit, it drifts, heavy and textured, carrying the stories of a million souls. To understand the ancient world, one must first understand its breath. In our modern age, we have scrubbed the world clean, masking our existence with synthetic florals and sterile soaps. But here, in the heart of the empire, the air is an unfiltered tapestry of life and decay. It is a sensory weight that anchors you to the earth. Close your eyes in this Roman night and feel the dampness. A light mist, the coelum, is descending, clinging to the towering insulae, the wooden and brick apartment blocks that lean toward one another like tired giants. These buildings rise 6-7 stories high, their upper windows dark and gaping. From these heights, the smells descend in invisible ribbons. The first scent that greets you is the charcoal. It is the foundation of the Roman atmosphere, the constant, lingering aroma of home oak and beechwood burning in small ceramic brazier stoves. It is a dry, dusty scent that catches in the back of the throat, a reminder of a world where fire was the only source of warmth and light. It mixes with the smell of the stone itself, the cooling tufa and travertine that have absorbed the heat of the Mediterranean sun all day and are now releasing it back into the damp night air. As we walk slowly, our sandals clicking softly against the wet stones, the scent profile shifts. It becomes more complex, more pungent. We pass an alleyway where the drainage is sluggish. Here, the greatest sewer, the Cloaca Maxima, feels very far away. Instead, there is the sharp, ammonia-tinged bite of the public latrines and the ceramic jars, the dolia, placed at street corners for the collection of urine. The Roman laundrymen, the full ones, prize this liquid for its cleansing properties, using it to scour the oils from heavy wool togas. It is a sharp, stinging scent that cuts through the smoke, a reminder of the city's relentless industry. But wait. A breeze shifts, drifting from the direction of the Forum Boreum, the cattle market. Now the air grows musky and thick. It is the scent of wet hide, of dung, and of the metallic tang of blood from the evening's slaughter. It is an ancient smell, one that would have been familiar to a shepherd 3,000 years ago, and it remains here, nestled in the shadows of the marble temples. It is heavy, grounding, and profoundly animal. Yet there is beauty in this olfactory chaos. As we move past a darkened shop front, the scent of the markets lingers in the cracks of the paving stones. We catch the ghostly, sweet trail of fermented fish sauce, garum. It is the lifeblood of Roman cuisine, aging in clay amphorae, a deep, salty umami funk that smells of the sea and of time. Beside it, the faint, woody aroma of peppercorns from the Malabar coast and the resinous scent of Lebanese cedarwood drifting from a wealthy man's litter. The silence of the Subura is not a true silence. It is a layering of echoes. The rhythmic drip of water from a leaking lead pipe into a stone cistern. The distant, muffled hoofbeats of a pack mule carrying grain from the port of Ostia. The soft, sibilant rustle of a linen curtain moving in a high window. Everything is slow. Everything is ancient. You feel the coolness of the air on your skin, a sharp contrast to the imagined heat of the day. The stones beneath you are slick with a fine layer of grime, a mixture of olive oil, dust, and the residue of a million passing feet. This is the patina of history. It isn't just a visual thing. It is a physical presence. The Romans lived in a world of intense proximity. There were no private bathrooms in these crowded tenements. Families lived in single rooms where the smell of cooking oil, burnt and heavy, settled into the very plaster of the walls. Imagine the scent of fried leeks and salted pork mingling with the smell of damp straw bedding. It is a warm human smell. It is the scent of survival. As we linger in the shadows of a great stone archway, the rain begins to fall more steadily. It is a soft, rhythmic drumming that washes the dust from the air. The sharp ammonia and the heavy musk of the cattle market are momentarily suppressed, replaced by the refreshing, earthy scent of petrichor, the smell of water hitting dry earth and stone. It is a cleansing moment, a brief respite in the sensory journey of the city. In the distance, the watchmen of the night, the vigiles, pass by with their flickering oil lamps. The scent of the lamp oil, a low-grade olive oil, is heavy and slightly acrid as it burns, leaving a trail of black smoke that curls into the mist. Their footsteps are rhythmic, a steady beat that lulls the city into a deeper trance. You are standing at the intersection of grandeur and decay. Above you on the Palatine Hill, the marble palaces of the emperors smell of imported incense, frankincense and myrrh, and expensive beeswax candles. But here in the streets of the people the smell is honest. It is the smell of a civilization that is visceral, tactile, and raw. The weight of the history around you feels like a heavy cloak. Every stone has been touched, every corner has been breathed upon. The darkness of the Roman night is not empty, it is full of the lingering presence of those who came before. The air is a library of every meal cooked, every fire lit, and every life lived within these walls. As the fire in our own hearth crackles and pops, let yourself sink deeper into the basalt of the Subura. The sounds of the modern world are an impossibility here. There are no sirens, no hum of engines, no white noise. Only the wind whistling through the narrow gaps between the insulae, the steady drip of the rain, and the rhythmic pulse of a city that smells of wood smoke, salt, and the deep, dark earth. We are just beginning to peel back the layers. Each street we turn down will reveal a new scent, a new texture, a new rhythm. But for now, let the charcoal smoke and the damp stone wash over you. Let the rhythmic footsteps of the vigiles be the heartbeat of your sleep. The city is vast, the night is long, and the secrets of the ancient air are waiting to be exhaled. The darkness is warm. The shadows are soft. You are drifting further back, away from the light, into the deep, aromatic heart of the eternal. The damp rain of the Subura fades behind us as we move toward the great limestone bulk of the Baths of Agrippa. In the Roman world, the transition from the street to the sanctuary of the Thermae is not merely a change of scenery, it is a profound shift in the very texture of the air. As you step across the threshold, the sharp, acidic bite of the city's gutters is instantly replaced by a wall of humid, mineral-heavy heat. The air here is thick, a physical weight that settles on your skin like a damp silk veil. It carries the scent of wet volcanic stone and the deep, earthy aroma of the wood-fired furnaces, the hypocausts burning far beneath the floors. This is a controlled heat, a rhythmic pulsing of warmth that radiates from the very marrow of the building. Listen to the sound of your own breathing as it slows, syncing with the steady rhythmic drip of condensation falling from the vaulted ceilings. Drip. Each droplet hits the marble floor with a soft, musical chime that echoes upward into the darkness of the dome. We move first into the unctuarium, the anointing room. This is the olfactory heart of the Roman elite. Here the air is no longer raw, it is curated. Imagine the scent of the finest olive oils, pressed from the green fruit of the Sabine hills, infused with the essence of the world's furthest reaches. There is the resinous, pine-like sharpness of mastic from Chios, the deep, balsamic sweetness of myrrh brought by camel caravans from the Arabian sands, and the powdery, floral ghost of crushed iris roots. These oils are not merely perfumes, they are a second skin. You watch, in the flickering amber light of the oil lamps, as a bather reclines on a marble slab. The attendant's hands move with a steady, hypnotic rhythm, massaging the thick, golden oil into the skin. It is a ritual of friction and flow. The scent of the oil warms as it meets the body's heat, blooming into a rich, heavy cloud that clings to the linen hangings. But there is a darker, more visceral layer beneath the florals. As the oil is applied, it mixes with the salt of human sweat and the fine gray dust of the city that has settled into the pores. This is the Roman scent, the human animal refined by the laboratory of the bath. Then comes the strigil. You hear the rhythmic, metallic shrrp as the curved bronze tool is drawn across the skin, scraping away the mixture of oil, sweat, and grit. This gray viscous paste, the strigmentum, is collected in small jars. To a modern nose, it would be overwhelming, a concentrated essence of humanity, but here, it is simply the scent of the day being cast off. It smells of salt, of exertion, and of the heavy, fatty richness of the oil. We follow the warmth, drifting deeper into the tepidarium, the warm room. The air here is a masterpiece of equilibrium. It is neither hot nor cold, but a steady, lingering embrace. The scent of the water itself begins to dominate, a clean, slightly metallic aroma of limestone-filtered aqueduct water, softened by the steam. There is a faint, sulfurous undertone, a reminder that this water has traveled through miles of lead and stone to reach this sanctuary. The silence here is heavy, broken only by the rhythmic splashing of water from a lion-headed bronze spout into a circular basin. The sound is low and resonant, a liquid heartbeat. You feel the tension leaving your limbs, dissolving into the humidity. The walls, decorated with mosaics of sea nymphs and tritons, seem to shimmer in the shifting light, their colors softened by the haze of the steam. Further still we enter the caldarium, the hot bath. The heat here is a sudden, intense bloom. It carries the scent of baking bricks and the sharp, clean smell of cedar wood used to stoke the fires below. The steam is so thick it is almost opaque, a white, swirling mist that masks the faces of those around you. Everything is anonymous. Everything is drifting. In this room, the smell of the Roman crowd is at its most potent. It is the scent of 1,000 bodies undergoing a collective purification. It is a humid, heavy, and intensely organic aroma, the smell of wet hair, of hot skin, and the faint herbal bitterness of the soda, the nitrum, used in place of soap. It is not dirty, but it is profoundly alive. It is the smell of a city that lives in its skin. As we linger in the doorway, a slave passes by carrying a tray of snacks, hot, salted chickpeas and leeks braised in honey and vinegar. The sharp, pungent tang of the vinegar pierces through the heavy curtain of steam, a bright, acidic note in a sea of warm, bass tones. It reminds you of the hunger of the body, the physical reality of the people who inhabit this marble palace. The transition back to the cool air is slow. We move toward the frigidarium, the cold pool. The air begins to thin, the scents of myrrh and charcoal receding as the crisp, sharp aroma of cold, still water takes hold. It is a scent like crushed ice or a mountain stream, neutral, bracing, and utterly silent. As the bathers emerge, their skin glowing and slick with a final coating of scented oil, they carry the scent of the thermi back out into the night. They are walking lanterns of fragrance, a mixture of wood smoke, balsam, and the deep, clean scent of the water. We stand for a moment in the grand portico, looking out at the dark silhouettes of the city. The rain has stopped. The air outside is now a cool, sharp contrast to the humid lung of the baths. The smell of the wet basalt streets rises to meet us, but it is tempered now by the lingering trail of the incense we carry on our clothes. The rhythm of the city has slowed to a crawl. The great furnaces of the baths continue to hum, a low, subterranean vibration that you can feel through the soles of your feet. It is the steady, unceasing pulse of Rome. You feel a profound sense of weightlessness. The world of the 21st century is a distant, impossible dream. Here there is only the stone, the water, the fire, and the scent of a million years of human history concentrated into a single humid breath. The amber light of the street lamps flickers, casting long rhythmic shadows across the pavement. The world is settling. The embers of the day are being banked. You are safe in the cradle of the past, drifting on a sea of steam and stone. The air is still. The water is quiet. The city is breathing with you, a slow, rhythmic exhale that carries you deeper into the velvet darkness of the Roman. Leaving the humid embrace of the baths, we drift toward the monumental heart of the city, the Roman Forum. At this hour, the great open plazas are no longer crowded with lawyers, orators, and merchants. The sun-scorched stones are cooling, and as they do, they release the day's gathered stories in a sharp, metallic exhale. The air here is different from the heavy, organic musk of the Subura. It is grander but also harsher. As you walk between the towering columns of the Temple of Saturn, the primary scent is one of ancient, weathered mineral. It is the smell of limestone dust, of sun-baked travertine, and the cold, unyielding scent of marble. It is a dry, powdery aroma that coats the tongue, a taste of the very bones of the empire. But beneath the stone, there is a persistent, sharp tang, the smell of bronze. Rome is a city of metal. Thousands of statues, their surfaces oxidized by the damp Tiber air, release a faint, coppery scent that grows stronger in the evening dew. It is a scent like blood or old keys, or the rain hitting a copper roof. It reminds you of the power concentrated here, the weapons of the legions, the coins of the treasury, the heavy bronze doors of the curia. Listen to the wind as it weaves through the porticos. It is a rhythmic, sibilant sound, like a long drawn-out sigh. It carries with it the ghost of the day's commerce. We pass the rostra, the great speaker's platform. Here the scent of the city shifts again. It is spiked with the smell of old wood, the heavy oak of the platforms and the resinous pitch used to weatherproof the timber. And there, lingering in the shadows of the arches, is the scent of the taberni, the small shops that line the forum's edge. From a money changer's stall, the scent of handled metal lingers, a sour metallic musk from a million brass sestertii passing through warm palms. From a jeweler's corner, the faint, sweet smell of beeswax used to polish gemstones. And from the nearby temple of Vesta, the air is kissed by the most sacred scent of all, the smell of a fire that never goes out. It is a clean, holy smoke. The Vestal virgins tend a hearth of dried oak and laurel. The smoke is thin and white, drifting upward in a steady, rhythmic ribbon toward the stars. It smells of scorched leaves and toasted grain, the mola salsa prepared for sacrifice. It is a scent of stability, a comforting anchor in the shifting winds of the night. As we move deeper into the forum, the ground turns to earth near the Lacus Curtius. Here the smell is damp and primordial. It is the scent of the marsh that Rome once was, a dark, peaty aroma that rises from the deep soil whenever the air grows humid. It is a reminder that beneath the marble and the bronze, the earth is still wild, still breathing, still waiting. The silence here is profound yet heavy. The shadows of the columns stretch out like long dark fingers across the pavement. You feel the weight of the authority that resides in this place. It is a cold, calculated smell, the smell of law, of stone, and of time. In the distance, the Tiber River exhales a low, foggy mist. It rolls into the forum, bringing with it the scent of river mud, of rotting reeds, and the faint, salty tang of the distant sea. The mist softens the sharp edges of the temple roofs, turning the city into a ghost of itself. You find yourself slowing your pace, your footsteps becoming light and rhythmic on the basalt blocks of the Via Sacra. The air is cooling rapidly now, and the metallic tang of the bronze statues seems to sharpen in the chill. It is a bracing, clean scent that clears the mind. There is a sense of immense, unmoving age. The smell of the forum is the smell of a mountain that has been carved into the shape of a city. It is solid. It is eternal. It is the scent of a world that believes it will never end. As you lean against a cooling column of the Basilica Julia, you can feel the faint vibration of the city's deep plumbing beneath the stones, the rhythmic flow of water through the great sewers, a subterranean river carrying away the day's refuse. The scent of the water is far below, masked by the dry dust of the marble, but you know it is there, the dark, watery pulse of Rome. The embers of the city's life are glowing low. The grand, metallic breath of the forum is steady and slow. You are a shadow among shadows, drifting through a forest of stone, enveloped in the scent of copper, oak smoke, and the ancient, cooling earth. The night is vast. The stone is cold. You are safe in the stillness of the center of the world. Leaving the high metallic silence of the forum, we drift toward the south, where the air begins to grow heavy with the breath of the Tiber. We are approaching the Velabrum and the docks of the Emporium. Here, the city's scent profile shifts from the sterile grandeur of marble to the thick, textured aroma of global commerce. The river is the city's jugular vein, and at night, it exhales a dense, cool mist that carries the smell of the world's edges. As you walk down the sloping streets toward the water, the first thing you notice is the scent of wet wood, massive oak timbers from the northern forests saturated by the river's silt. It is a deep, tannic smell, mixed with the sharp, resinous tang of pine pitch used to seal the hulls of the grain ships. Listen to the water. It is a slow, rhythmic slap-slap against the travertine quays. In the darkness, the river is a black ribbon, smelling of fertile mud, decomposing reeds, and the cold, mineral heartbeat of the Apennine Mountains. But as we pass the great warehouses, the Horia, the air becomes intoxicatingly complex. These are the lungs of Rome, holding the breath of Africa, Gaul, and the East. From the open doorways of a spice granary, a ghost of fragrance escapes into the damp night. It is a dry, sneezing dust of black pepper warming the back of your throat. It is followed by the earthy, golden scent of saffron, so potent that it seems to stain the very air yellow. There is the smell of 1,000,000 bushels of Egyptian wheat, a sweet, dusty, sun-baked aroma that reminds you of a dry summer field, even here in the damp Roman midnight. It is a comforting, yeasty scent, the smell of life itself, stacked in endless mountains of burlap sacks. The burlap adds its own note, a rough, fibrous, grassy smell that grounds the exotic spices. As we move closer to the water's edge, the scent of the garum returns, but here it is at its source. Thousands of clay amphorae, sealed with wax and pine resin, sit in long rhythmic rows. The smell is a heavy, salty funk, the essence of fermented mackerel and salt, a sharp oceanic umami that hangs in the mist like a physical presence. To the Romans, this is the smell of wealth. To us, it is a staggering, visceral reminder of the ancient sea. The air here is thicker than in the Forum. It feels weightless yet substantial, a soup of aromas that tells the story of an empire's hunger. You catch the faint animal musk of exotic beasts tethered in the shadows, waiting for the morning's procession, the scent of dry fur, hay, and the sharp ammonia of a leopard's cage. Underfoot, the stones are slick with a mixture of spilled oil and river silt. The oil, low-grade acetate from Baetica, has a heavy, slightly rancid sweetness that sticks to the soles of your sandals. It is a rhythmic journey, each step releasing a new puff of scent from the cracks in the pavement. In the distance, a night watchman's torch flickers, the smell of burning tow and animal fat drifting toward you. It is a common, gritty smell that anchors the high notes of saffron and cinnamon. The flame is a steady, rhythmic pulse in the fog, a small sun in a world of gray and brown. The silence of the docks is different from the silence of the temples. It is a busy silence, a pause in a great labor. You can feel the weight of the millions of tons of stone, grain, and wine that pass through this gate. The smell of the emporium is the smell of gravity, the sheer mass of a civilization's needs. As the mist thickens, the smell of the river mud rises to dominate the air. It is a cooling, primordial scent, the smell of the earth reclaiming what was borrowed. The sharp spices recede, the salty fish sauce fades, and you are left with the rhythmic breathing of the water and the deep, dark scent of the silt. You feel a profound sense of peace in this intersection of the world. The river flows, the grain sleeps, and the spices wait in the dark. The air is a blanket, woven from the threads of 1,000 journeys. The night is turning. The stars are hidden behind the river's breath. You are drifting on a tide of scent, moving slowly, weightlessly, through the aromatic storehouse of the ancient world. Leaving the heavy, silted breath of the river docks, we drift back toward the narrow, winding veins of the Argiletum. Here the air thins, losing the pungent salt of the garum and replacing it with a cooling, medicinal clarity. We are entering the district of the booksellers and the herbalists, where the scent of the city becomes a whisper of the wild. The air in this narrow corridor is trapped between high stone walls, creating a microclimate of stillness. As you walk, the primary scent is one of sun-dried botanicals, a dusty green aroma that feels like walking into a long-forgotten attic. It is the scent of the pharmacopoeia, the ancient pharmacy of the earth. Pause for a moment outside a darkened apothecary. Even with the heavy oak shutters closed, the scent seeps through the grain of the wood. It is a rhythmic layering of fragrances. First, the sharp, clearing bite of dried peppermint and pennyroyal, a scent that cuts through the nocturnal dampness like a blade of ice. Then, the deeper, woodier notes of valerian root, earthy, slightly musky, and profoundly grounding. Listen to the rhythmic thump hush of a late working assistant in the back rooms. They are bruising dried herbs to release their essences. Each strike of the pestle sends a fresh puff of aroma into the street. It is the scent of rosemary, resinous and pine-like, mingling with the sweet, hay-like fragrance of dried chamomile flowers. This is the scent of healing and of sleep. The Romans believed that scents could balance the humors of the body, and here, in the shadows of the Argiletum, the air feels balanced. It is a clean smell, but not the sterile cleanliness of a modern hospital. It is the cleanliness of the forest floor, of crushed leaves and rain-washed bark. As we move slowly past the stalls, the scent shifts to the library. The booksellers, the librarii, keep their scrolls in cedar boxes to ward off insects. The air takes on a dry, aristocratic scent of papyrus and aged parchment, underscored by the sharp, balsamic tang of cedarwood oil. It is a scent of static time, of knowledge preserved in the dark. You catch the faint, vinegar-like smell of the ink, made from soot and gum Arabic, lingering on a freshly copied manuscript. It is a utilitarian, gritty scent that reminds you of the labor behind the poetry. The rhythm of the scribe's hand is mirrored in the rhythmic dripping of a nearby water clock, clink, clink dot, marking the passage of a night that feels eternal. The street underfoot is cleaner here, paved with smoother stones that have been swept of the day's debris. The smell of the earth is faint, replaced by the lingering trail of a passing physician's cloak, which carries the scent of lavender and vinegar. Further down the lane, a small shrine to Aesculapius nestled in a niche smells of burning juniper berries. The smoke is thin, blue, and incredibly fragrant, a rhythmic pulse of scent that rises toward the narrow strip of stars visible between the rooftops. Juniper is the scent of protection, a sharp, berry-rich smoke that cleanses the senses and stills the mind. The silence here is scholarly. It is a silence that invites reflection. You feel the weight of your own body becoming lighter, drifting on these herbal clouds. The sharp edges of the city's more visceral smells, the ammonia of the fullers, the musk of the cattle, are buffered by this green sanctuary. In the stillness, you can smell the dampness of the mortar between the bricks, a cool, lime-rich scent that speaks of the city's endless construction. It is a bass note, steady and unmoving, beneath the flickering highs of the mint and the cedar. The argiletum is a bridge between the physical and the intellectual, and its scent is the bridge between the street and the soul. As you breathe in the cooling herbal air, you feel a sense of profound safety. The world is being mended in the dark. The herbs are steeping. The scrolls are sleeping. The rhythmic grinding of the mortar fades into the distance as we move toward the next turn. The air remains sweet, a lingering ghost of rosemary and cedar following us like a soft, invisible hand. The night is deepening. The hearth is glowing. You are drifting through a forest made of stone and dried flowers, wrapped in the scent of ancient remedies and the rhythmic pulse of the city's quiet heart. Leaving the cool, medicinal quiet of the herbalists, we follow a scent that acts as a beacon through the dark, winding veins of Rome. It is the most primal and comforting aroma of the ancient world, the scent of the pastrinum, the bakery. In the hours before dawn, while the rest of the city remains draped in shadow, the bakers are the keepers of the light and the pulse of the morning's hunger. As you approach the bakery doors, the air begins to warm. It is a dry, radiating heat that carries the scent of toasted grain and scorched earth. The first note you encounter is the yeast, a heavy, sour-sweet tang that hangs in the humid air of the shop. It is the smell of life in transition, of dough rising in the heat, a fermented richness that feels thick enough to taste. Listen to the rhythm of the mills. Grit grind, grit grind. Massive hourglass-shaped stones of dark, porous volcanic rock are being turned by a blindfolded donkey. The sound is a low, subterranean vibration that you feel in your chest. With every rotation, a fine, ghostly dust of flour rises into the air. It is a cool, powdery scent, the smell of crushed summer wheat, coating the beams and the floor in a soft, white velvet. Step closer to the great brick ovens. The fire here is stoked with dry vine branches and olive wood. The smoke is different from the heavy charcoal of the Subura. It is lighter, crisper, with a fruity, resinous undertone that clings to the cooling night air. As the oven doors are cracked open, a wave of the baker's bloom washes over you. This is the scent of the panis quadratus, the iconic Roman loaf, scored into 8 sections. It is the smell of a darkening crust, of caramelizing sugars and toasted bran. It is a warm, golden aroma that speaks of security and the simple rhythmic necessity of bread. It is a scent that has not changed in 2,000 years. It is the smell of the hearth, of the home, and of the city's shared survival. The bakers move with a practiced, rhythmic grace. You hear the soft slap thud of dough being thrown onto wooden tables, the rhythmic scraping of metal peels against the stone floor of the oven. The air is a symphony of textures. The dry dust of the flour, the humid steam of the rising loaves, and the sharp, woody smoke of the fire. Beneath the dominant note of wheat, there are subtle variations. One batch of bread is seasoned with cumin, a spicy, earthy scent that adds a flickering warmth to the air. Another is topped with poppy seeds, which release a faint, nutty aroma as they toast on the hot crust. These scents are like small, bright threads woven into the heavy tapestry of the grain. The floor of the bakery is covered in a layer of fine chaff and spilled flour, which muffles the sound of footsteps. The atmosphere is one of intense focus and ancient repetition. The bakers don't speak, they communicate through the rhythmic sounds of their craft. In this space, the city's larger, harsher smells, the sewage, the leather, the animals, are completely eclipsed. For a few square meters, the world is made of nothing but warmth and nourishment. You lean against the exterior wall, feeling the heat of the ovens through the brickwork. It is a comforting, maternal heat. The scent of the baking bread begins to drift out into the street, meeting the morning mist. As the two collide, the air becomes sweet and heavy, a morning dew of toasted grain. In the distance, the first rooster crows, but here in the bakery, the morning has already been won. The baskets are being filled with warm loaves, their crusts crackling softly as they cool, a rhythmic, microscopic sound like the breaking of tiny glass bubbles. You breathe in deeply, letting the toasted warmth fill your lungs. The scent of the bakery is a promise that the world will continue, that the day will be met, and that there is a place of light and sustenance in the heart of the dark city. The thrum of the mills continues, a steady heartbeat for a city about to wake. You are drifting on a golden cloud of flour and fire, wrapped in the most ancient of comforts. Leaving the golden, toasted sanctuary of the bakery, we move toward the river's edge again, but this time to a place where the air grows sharp, dark, and challenging. We are entering the district of the tanners, located downwind and across the Tiber in the Transtiberum. Here, the scent of the city loses its warmth and takes on a bitter, visceral edge that defines the grit of Roman industry. The air here is cold and carries a stinging bite. As you descend the narrow stone steps toward the tanning pits, the first scent to hit you is the ammonia, a sharp, eye-watering pungency that feels like a physical barrier. This is the scent of the vast vats of aged urine used to strip the hair from raw hides. It is a raw, chemical smell, ancient and unapologetic, cutting through the damp river mist like a serrated blade. Listen to the rhythm of the work. Slop, splash, scrape. In the flickering light of a few tallow candles, you see the shadows of men moving over large stone basins. The sound of the wet hides being hauled from the liquor is heavy and rhythmic, a sodden, airless sound. As we move deeper into the workshop, the scent profile shifts from the sharp ammonia to something deeper and more cloying. It is the smell of the tannins, the bitter stain. The Romans used crushed oak bark, gallnuts, and sumac to preserve the leather. This scent is incredibly dense. It is woody, astringent, and sour, a dark brown smell that seems to coat the back of your throat. It is the smell of a forest turned inside out and fermented. There is a third layer here, the most animal of all, the scent of the raw hides themselves. It is a musky, fatty, and slightly sweet aroma of decomposition held in check by the salt in the bark. It is the smell of the beast, of the mountain goat and the forest ox, being transformed into the soldier's sandal and the merchant's purse. It is a scent of violent transition. Underfoot, the ground is permanently damp, slick with a mixture of lime, fat and dark tannin-stained water. Each step you take is muted, a rhythmic, muddy thud. The air is so thick with these competing scents that you can almost feel the weight of the leather on your own skin. Yet, even in this harsh environment, there is a rhythmic peace. The tanners work with a steady, trance-like focus. You hear the rhythmic shrrr hiss of the stone scrapers removing the last vestiges of flesh from a cowhide. It is a sound of purification, of stripping away the soft and the perishable to find the durable core beneath. Away from the pits in the drying sheds, the scent changes once more. Here the air is drier and carries the faint, smoky aroma of birch oil and beeswax used to finish the leather. It is a sophisticated, expensive smell, the scent of a new saddle or a fine pair of calcei. It is the reward at the end of the bitter process, a clean, woody fragrance that masks the memory of the pits. The silence of the Transtiberum at night is heavy and layered. The river flows nearby, a constant, low-frequency hum that mirrors the steady labor of the workshops. You feel the immense physical effort required to clothe an empire in leather. Every strap of a legionary's armor, every hinge of a merchant's chest, began here in this sharp, bitter air. As a light breeze moves through the open rafters, it carries a ghost of the city's other smells, a hint of wood smoke from the far bank, a trace of the river's mud, but they are quickly swallowed by the dominant, earthy musk of the tannery. You lean against a wooden pillar, watching the rhythmic movement of the dark water in the vats. The intensity of the smell begins to fade into a background hum as your senses adjust. There is a strange, grounding honesty to this place. It is the smell of the earth's raw materials being bent to the will of man. The night is cold and the bitter stain of the oak bark hangs heavy in the mist. You are drifting through the shadow of industry, wrapped in the scent of salt, wood and the deep, enduring animal spirit of the city. The rhythm of the scrapers is the heartbeat of the night. You are safe in the dark, held by the weight of the leather and the ancient, unchanging breath of the work. We turn our back on the bitter, cold riverside of the tanners and re-enter the city's heart as the deep middle of the night settles into a velvet stillness. We move now toward the Atrium Libertatis, where the air is no longer dominated by the raw and the industrial. Here, in the quiet corridors of the archives and the private studies of the night owls, the city exhales a scent of focus, the smell of the wax and the wick. The air in these enclosed spaces is dry and warm, held in place by thick stone walls that have absorbed the heat of the day. As you walk through the silent halls, the primary scent is the rich, honeyed aroma of beeswax. This is a luxury of light. The candles, the cerii, flicker in the drafts, releasing a sweet, floral dust into the air. It is a golden scent, reminiscent of sun-drenched meadows and the industrious hum of bees in the Apennine foothills. It feels clean, sacred, and infinitely calm. Listen to the rhythmic scratch slide of a stylus. A scholar sits by a single flame, pressing a bone instrument into a tablet coated in dark, soot-blackened wax. Each movement of the hand releases a tiny puff of that resinous, honey-sweet scent. It is the smell of thought being made permanent. But there is a secondary, more common note that weaves through this sweetness, the scent of the lucerna, the oil lamp. Unlike the clean burn of the beeswax, the lamps burn low-grade olive oil. It is a heavier, more vegetal scent, thick, slightly acrid and oily. As the wick, a simple twist of flax or papyrus, slowly consumes the oil, it leaves a trail of thin gray smoke that smells of toasted olives and burnt grass. This is the rhythmic breath of the Roman night. Flicker, sputter, glow. The scent of the lamp oil is the scent of the midnight oil. It is the smell of the lawyer preparing his closing argument, the poet searching for the final cadence of a verse, and the bookkeeper balancing the accounts of a shipping magnate. It is a gritty, hard-working fragrance that anchors the ethereal sweetness of the wax. Underfoot, the floors are polished marble, cold and silent. The air is so still that you can smell the faint, metallic tang of the bronze lampstands, warmed by the flame. It is a subtle, sharp note that cuts through the fatty richness of the oil. As we move past a half-open door, the scent of the library returns, but here it is concentrated. The smell of aged papyrus, which has a dry, grassy, almost vanilla-like quality, mingles with the scent of the cedarwood oil used to preserve the scrolls. It is a scent of stilled time. The rhythmic dripping of a clepsydra, a water clock, in the corner adds a liquid pulse to the dry, waxy air. Drop. Pause. Drop. The silence here is not empty, it is a heavy, academic silence. You feel the weight of 1,000 years of recorded history pressing against the air. The smell of the wax and the oil is the smell of the empire's memory. Everything that Rome is, its laws, its poems, its conquests, has been written down in rooms that smell exactly like this. As a light draft ripples through the corridor, it carries the scent of the dying hearth in the main atrium. The smell of cooling white ash, clean, alkaline, and ghost-like, mixes with the lingering honey of the candles. It is a peaceful, fading scent, the smell of a fire that has done its work and is now resting. You find yourself slowing your own breath, matching the steady, unhurried pace of the flickering flames. The world outside, the Subura smoke, the river's silt, the tanner's stain, feels like a different universe. Here, in the glow of the wick, there is only the present moment and the scent of the light. The night is reaching its deepest point. The wax is pooling in the holders, a liquid amber that glows in the dark. You are drifting on a sea of honey and olive oil, wrapped in the warmth of the scholar's sanctuary. The city is dreaming in the dark, and you are the witness to its quietest, most luminous breath. Leaving the dry, scholarly silence of the wax and the wick, we descend toward the belly of a great Roman house, the Culina. While the masters sleep in the quiet upper rooms, the kitchen is a cavern of lingering heat and heavy, nocturnal preparation. The air here is a dense fog of calories and chemistry, a place where the scent of the city turns toward the visceral satisfaction of the palate. The air is thick, humid, and warm, trapped by the low, soot-stained ceilings. As you step into the threshold, the first scent to greet you is the liquamen, the ubiquitous, pungent fish sauce. It is being reduced in a heavy iron pot over a low flame. The scent is deep, oceanic, and intensely salty, a concentrated blast of the sea's dark secrets. It provides a base note of fermented richness that underscores everything else. Listen to the rhythm of the prep work. Tap tap thud, tap tap thud. A kitchen slave is mincing lovage and celery seeds on a heavy oak block. Each stroke of the knife releases a fresh, green spray of aroma, herbal, slightly bitter, and sharp. This brightness is immediately met by the warmth of the spices. Rome's kitchen is a crossroads of the world. You smell the earthy, citrusy hum of coriander, the musk of cumin, and the sudden, sharp heat of long pepper. The fire in the brick hearth is being fed with dry olive pressings, the Immersive. It burns with a heavy, oily smoke that smells of toasted pits and dark earth. This smoke clings to the walls and the hanging bundles of dried herbs, creating a permanent, resinous perfume of survival. As we move closer to the stone counter, the scent of the oil takes center stage. This is not the clean, floral oil of the baths, but the heavy, golden oil of the kitchen. It is sizzling gently in a shallow patera, frying leeks and small birds. The smell is fatty, rich, and comforting, the scent of searing protein and caramelizing greens. It is a rhythmic, crackling sound, the heartbeat of the hearth. Beneath the savory there is a ghost of sweetness. A jar of attic honey has been left near the heat, and its scent, deep, floral and slightly scorched, drifts through the air. It mixes with the acidic tang of sharp vinegar and the fruity, fermented aroma of a cheap, resinous wine used for cooking. This is the Roman agrodulce, the constant play between the sour and the sweet, the sharp and the mellow. The floor is a mosaic of spilled flour, droplets of oil, and the occasional leaf of discarded kale. It smells of the earth and the harvest. The air is so laden with these scents that you can almost feel the nourishment on your skin. It is a protective, maternal atmosphere, even in the dead of night. In the corner, a large ceramic jar of olives is being cured in brine. The scent is sharp, vinegary, and slightly metallic, a bracing contrast to the heavy, fried aromas of the stove. It reminds you of the groves outside the city walls, of the silver leaves of the olive trees shaking in the wind. The silence of the kitchen is a working silence. The slaves move in a rhythmic, trance-like state, their shadows long and flickering against the red brick walls. You feel the weight of the labor required to feed the appetites of the empire. Every meal is a campaign, every dish is a conquest of flavor. As a draft from the peristyle garden wafts in, it brings a momentary scent of damp earth and night-blooming jasmine. For a heartbeat, the kitchen's heavy musk is lifted, and you catch the freshness of the Roman night before the smell of the seared meat and the cumin pulls you back in. You lean against the cool stone of the larder, watching the embers of the stove pulse with a rhythmic orange glow. The world of the 21st century is a thin, flavorless ghost compared to this. Here the air is a feast. The night is a slow reduction of time and taste. You are drifting on a cloud of pepper, honey, and wood smoke, wrapped in the warm, savory embrace of the city's heart. The hearth is steady. The spices are deep. You are safe in the aromatic belly of the world. Stepping out from the heavy, savory warmth of the kitchen, we find ourselves in the cool, moonlit shadows of the Septa Julia. Here the air undergoes a radical purification. We have stumbled into the stalls of the nocturnal florists, those who prepare the garlands for the morning sacrifices and the banquets of the elite. The scent here is a fragile, ethereal veil that floats above the city's more grounded odors. The air is crisp, washed by the fountain spray, and it carries the profound, intoxicating weight of the Roman rose. This is not the faint, watery rose of the modern world, but the Rosa Damascena, thick, velvety, and spicy. Its scent is a deep, honeyed crimson that feels as though it could stain your clothes. It is a rhythmic fragrance, blooming in waves as the dew settles on the cut stems. Listen to the rhythmic snip, rustle, snip as a flower seller weaves a crown of laurel and lilies. The scent of the crushed stems is green and bleeding, a sharp, sappy aroma that smells of life and renewal. This green scent is the backbone of the florist's stall, a bracing vegetal snap that underscores the heavy perfume of the blossoms. Beside the roses, there are bundles of violets, their scent a shy, powdery whisper that dances in the drafts. It is a fleeting aroma, one that you have to lean into, a soft, nostalgic sweetness that feels like a memory. And then there is the jasmine, which only truly breathes at night. Its scent is creamy, exotic, and slightly indolic, a heady musk that hints at the gardens of the East. Underfoot, the pavement is strewn with discarded leaves and bruised petals, releasing a faint, sweet decay as you walk. Each step is a rhythmic compression of floral life. The air is so saturated with these scents that the metallic tang of the nearby bronze statues is completely masked. For a few moments you are no longer in a city of stone. You are in a floating garden. The silence here is delicate, broken only by the rhythmic drip-drop of the fountain and the soft, sibilant breathing of the flower seller. There is a sense of immense, fragile beauty. These flowers have been brought in by cart from the estates at Palestrina and Tivoli, their scents a gift from the countryside to the concrete heart of the empire. As we move through the stalls, the scent of the lilies becomes dominant. It is a waxy funeral sweetness, grand, solemn, and cool. It reminds you of the altars of the gods and the transitory nature of life. The Romans used flowers to mask the smell of the streets, but here the flowers are the street. They are a living carpet of fragrance. You catch a trace of a secondary scent, the wet, dark earth in the terracotta pots. It is a grounding, loamy smell that prevents the florals from becoming too cloying. It is the smell of the mother, the terra mater, supporting the delicate vanity of the blooms. The night air is moving now, a slow, rhythmic breeze that carries the scent of the roses out toward the dark forum. You feel weightless, as if the fragrance itself is lifting you. The fatigue of the journey through the city's darker corners begins to dissolve into this floral mist. You lean against a cooling marble pillar, watching the moonlight catch the dew on a heap of white carnations. The world is soft. The colors are muted to silver and gray, but the scents are more vivid than the sun. The hearth of the city is far away now, replaced by this garden of the night. You are drifting on a sea of petals, wrapped in the spice of the rose and the coolness of the lily. The nightingale sings a rhythmic, lonely song in the distance. You are safe. You are surrounded by the scent of things that bloom in the dark. We leave the delicate, floral sanctuary of the florists and drift toward the towering, silent bulk of the Flavian amphitheater, the Colosseum. At this hour, the great arena is a hollow tooth of stone, a limestone giant exhaling the cold, dark memories of the day's spectacles. The air here is unlike any other part of the city. It is a scent of iron, of dry earth, and of an ancient, predatory stillness. The first thing you notice as you walk beneath the massive travertine arches is the chill. The stone seems to radiate a lack of heat, a rhythmic cooling that pulls the moisture from the air. The scent is overwhelmingly mineral, the smell of crushed limestone and the fine, silicious dust of the arena floor. It is a dry, choking scent that feels like the passage of centuries. Listen to the wind. It whistles through the tiered seating, the cavea, in a rhythmic, mournful sigh. As it moves, it carries the scent of the harina, the sand. This sand, brought from the pits of Monte Mario, has a faint, salty and metallic tang. It is the smell of a beach that has never seen the sea, a gritty aroma that reminds you of the sweat and the struggle that soaked into the ground only hours before. We move toward the edge of the arena floor. Here the scent deepens. There is a lingering coppery sharpness, the smell of blood. It is not fresh, but a metallic ghost that has bonded with the hot sand and is now cooling in the night air. It is a sharp, primal scent that triggers a deep, ancestral rhythm in the heart. It is the smell of the animal and the man, joined in the finality of the dust. But there is another layer beneath the iron. We pass near the service entrances leading to the hypogeum, the vast subterranean world beneath the floor. From these dark maws, a heavy, musky scent rises. It is the smell of the wild, the lingering aroma of big cats, of bears, and of elephants. It is a scent of dry fur, of wild animal dung, and of the raw, gamey smell of predators kept in the dark. It is a thick, organic musk that feels heavy in the lungs. The silence here is punctuated by the rhythmic clink-clink of a loose chain somewhere in the depths. You feel the weight of the spectators who were here, the lingering scent of 50,000 bodies, a ghostly mixture of cheap wine, garlic-heavy breath, and the pungent wool of damp togas. It is a human hum that has settled into the very pores of the stone. Underfoot, the stone is cold and unyielding. The air is so still that you can smell the dampness of the lime mortar and the faint, resinous scent of the pine wood barriers. It is a utilitarian, harsh landscape. The flowers of the septa are an impossibility here. This is a place of bone and grit. As we look up at the circle of stars framed by the arena's rim, a draft pulls through the tunnels. It brings the scent of the nearby fountains, a clean, watery relief, but it is quickly overtaken by the smell of the charcoal braziers used by the night watchman. The smell of the burning wood is a small, rhythmic comfort, a tiny pinprick of domesticity in this theater of the wild. The amphitheater is a lung that breathes in the city's violence and breathes out a cold, metallic silence. You feel the immense, rhythmic pressure of the history that happened here. The smell of the sand and the iron is the smell of the empire's edge, brought into its very center. The darkness is absolute in the shadows of the pillars. You are a ghost among ghosts, drifting across the sand, enveloped in the scent of limestone, musk, and the deep, cold iron of the earth. The night is turning toward its final hours. The arena is a stone cradle of silence. You are safe, resting in the shadow of the giant, listening to the rhythmic heartbeat of the cooling stone. Leaving the cold, metallic ghost of the arena, we drift back toward the river's edge, near the district of the Vicus Vicarius. Here, the night air is stained with a scent so legendary and so pungent it was once protected by imperial decree. We are entering the realm of the purpurarii, the dyers of the royal purple. The air here is thick, humid, and heavy with a scent that defies simple description. It is a massive rhythmic presence. The first note to strike you is a deep, marine funk, the smell of 1,000 crushed murex shells. It is a scent of the sea, but a sea that has been concentrated, fermented, and boiled. It is salty, yes, but it carries a heavy, garlic-like sulfur and a cloying, sweet decay. To the Romans, this is the smell of ultimate power. To the uninitiated, it is a staggering visceral weight. Listen to the rhythm of the vats. Glop. Bubble. Huge leaden cauldrons sit over slow-burning fires of green wood. The steam rising from them is a pale, shimmering mist that carries the dye into the very fabric of the night. You hear the rhythmic slop thud of heavy wool being agitated in the liquid by men with stained, violet arms. As we move through the workshop, the scent profile shifts. Beneath the rotting shellfish, there is the sharp, acrid bite of the mordants used to fix the color, vinegar, alum, and stale urine. This acidity cuts through the heavy marine musk, creating a scent that is both ancient and industrial. It is a scent that clings to the hair and the skin, a rhythmic chemical pulse that marks everyone who works here. But then, as the wool is lifted from the vats and hung to dry, a transformation occurs. The air begins to carry the scent of the drying fabric, a warm, lanolin richness of raw sheep's wool mixing with the now mellowing dye. The fishiness recedes, replaced by a deep, earthy, and aristocratic aroma. It is the scent of the finished toga, a smell of weight, of dignity, and of the immense cost of beauty. Underfoot, the stones are dyed a permanent, bruised plum color. They are slick with the overflow of the vats, smelling of salt and wet wool. Each of your footsteps is a muffled, rhythmic dampness. The air is so saturated with the dye that you can almost taste the salt on your lips. The silence of the dyer's quarter is a heavy, humid silence. The steam muffles the sounds of the city, creating a private world of mist and color. You feel the slow, rhythmic passage of time as the fabric takes on its hue. It is not a process of speed, but of patience, a rhythmic steeping in the essence of the deep. In the corner of the yard, bundles of dried seaweed are used for fuel, adding a briny, smoky note to the air. It is a clean, oceanic smell that briefly lightens the heavy sulfur of the cauldrons. It reminds you that this entire industry is a gift from the tides, brought to the city's heart to clothe its masters. The night air is still, and the purple mist hangs low over the street, a rhythmic, swirling ghost. You feel a sense of profound immersion. The world of the 21st century is a thin, colorless dream. Here the air has a color. The night has a price. You lean against a wooden drying rack, feeling the damp heat of the wool. The scent of the murex is the scent of history's most coveted luxury. It is a smell of the depths, brought into the light of the fire. The rhythmic bubbling of the cauldrons is a lullaby of the deep. You are drifting on a sea of violet and salt, wrapped in the heavy royal breath of the empire's finery. The night is deep. The vats are full. You are safe in the aromatic heart of the purple mist. We leave the humid violet mists of the dyers behind and move toward the city's edge, where the bustle of commerce fades into the solemn rhythmic silence of the Via Appia. Here the air cools significantly, losing the salt of the murex and taking on the scent of the earth's deep, quiet interior. We are approaching the threshold of the underground, the realm of the sleeping. As you descend the narrow stone stairs into a private hypogeum, the transition is instant. The air becomes still, heavy, and incredibly ancient. It carries the scent of damp tufa, the volcanic rock of Rome, which has a cool, metallic, and slightly peppery aroma. This is a scent of darkness made manifest, a rhythmic breathing of the stone itself that has not seen the sun in centuries. Listen to the silence. It is not empty but layered. You hear the rhythmic plip of mineral-rich water falling from a ceiling into a small, dark pool. The sound is perfectly clear, echoing down the long, shadowed corridors. Each drop is a heartbeat of the earth. As we move through the gallery, the scent of the Roman burial ritual begins to bloom. It is not a scent of decay but of preservation. To ward off the shadows, the Romans used the gifts of the forest. The air is thick with the resinous, woody aroma of cedarwood oil and the sharp, antiseptic scent of pine pitch used to seal the loculi. It is a clean, bracing fragrance that feels like walking through a frozen forest in the dead of night. The torches we carry release a thin, rhythmic ribbon of smoke. The fuel is a mixture of animal fat and juniper berries, adding a spicy, berry-rich top note to the heavy earthiness of the tomb. This smoke drifts into the niches, catching the scent of the dry linen shrouds and the faint, powdery ghost of frankincense left by a grieving family days before. There is a sense of immense, unmoving weight. The smell of the catacomb is the smell of the city's memory, stored in the cool, dark belly of the hills. Underfoot, the floor is a fine volcanic dust that muffles your footsteps, making your movement rhythmic and ghost-like. As we pass a small altar dedicated to the manes, the spirits of the ancestors, you catch the scent of a libation, a splash of old honeyed wine that has soaked into the stone. Its aroma is fermented, raisiny, and sweet, a flickering light of human presence in the cold mineral world. It mixes with the scent of dried rosemary, which has a woody, camphorous bite that clears the senses. The air here is still, in a way the street air never is. There are no drafts, no winds, only the slow, rhythmic exchange of heat between the stone and the body. You feel a profound sense of peace. The scents here are designed to endure. The cedar, the incense, the pine. They are the aromatic architecture of the afterlife. In the deepest part of the corridor, the smell of the damp earth is at its most potent. It is a rich, loamy, and ancient scent, the smell of the primordial ground from which the city rose. It is a grounding force, a reminder of the cycle of the seasons and the rhythmic return of all things to the mother. You lean against the cool tufa wall, feeling the immense silence pressing against your skin. The world above, the markets, the baths, the arenas, is a frantic, noisy dream. Here, in the heart of the stone, there is only the rhythmic drip of the water and the scent of the cedar. The night is eternal in the catacomb. The torches burn with a steady amber glow. You are drifting through the quietest library of the empire, wrapped in the scent of resin, earth, and the long, peaceful sleep of the ancestors. The stone is your cradle. The shadows are your blanket. You are safe in the deep, aromatic heart of the Roman earth. Emerging from the stony silence of the hypogeum, we find ourselves back under the open canopy of the Roman sky, drifting toward the bridges that span the Tiber. At this hour, the river is the true master of the city's breath. If the Forum is the mind and the Subura the heart, the Tiber is the city's great, dark lung. The air here is no longer trapped in stone. It is moving, rhythmic, and heavy with the scent of the wild water. The air is noticeably cooler near the banks, a damp, refreshing chill that clings to your skin. The primary scent is the green-brown aroma of the river itself, a complex mixture of wet clay, crushed reeds, and the cold, metallic tang of the Apennine runoff. It is a deep, primordial smell, the scent of a force that existed long before the first brick was laid on the Palatine and will remain long after the last one falls. Listen to the rhythm of the water. It is a low-frequency subterranean hum as it rushes against the massive stone piers of the Pons Aemilius. Swirl. Gurgle. The sound is hypnotic, a liquid heartbeat that anchors the night. As the water churns, it releases the scent of the riverbed, a dark, peaty musk of ancient silt and decomposing oak leaves carried down from the timber forests of the north. As we walk along the stone embankments, we encounter the scent of the city's outfall. The Cloaca Maxima and its smaller siblings exhale into the river here. To our modern senses, it is a sharp, daunting reminder of the city's scale, a mixture of ammonia, stagnant water, and the heavy organic rot of discarded vegetables. But in the cool of the night, tempered by the river's massive volume, it becomes a low, earthy thrum, the scent of a million lives lived in close proximity. It is the honest smell of a superpower. But the river also brings gifts. A barge from the coast is moored nearby, and as the breeze shifts, it carries the ghost of the Mediterranean. It is a sharp, bracing scent of salt crust and dried seaweed, a rhythmic reminder that Rome is a maritime empire. This saltiness cuts through the river's mud, bringing a momentary clarity to the air, a scent of the horizon and the open sky. Underfoot, the travertine of the embankment is slick with a fine layer of river mist. Each of your footsteps is a quiet, rhythmic slap on the wet stone. The air is so humid here that you can feel the scent of the water in your throat, a cool, mineral-rich taste that contrasts with the dry charcoal dust of the inner city. The silence of the river is moving. It is a silence of flow and transition. You feel the weight of the city pressing down on the banks and the river pushing back, a rhythmic struggle of stone and water. The smell of the river is the smell of the city's survival. The water that cleanses, the water that feeds, and the water that carries the world's goods to the emporium. In the shadows of the bridge, a small shrine to the river god, Pater Tiberinus, smells of wet stone and the faint resinous aroma of a single pine branch left as an offering. It is a simple, clean scent that rises above the heavier musk of the silt. It is a rhythmic pulse of gratitude in the dark. You lean against the cold stone railing, watching the reflection of the moon break and reform in the swirling current. The world of the 21st century is a distant, sterile memory. Here the air is thick with the reality of the earth and the water. The night is a slow, rhythmic journey toward the sea. You are drifting on the breath of the river, wrapped in the scent of salt, mud, and the eternal, flowing heart of the city. The water is deep. The night is vast. You are safe in the arms of the old river god. We leave the river's humid embrace and move back into the labyrinthine heart of the city, where the shadows are deepest and the air is most still. We are entering the hour of the vigiles, the night watchman and fire brigade of Rome. In this pre-dawn silence, the scent of the city is defined by the tools of protection and the constant rhythmic anxiety of the flame. The air in these narrow streets is cool and carries a sharp, utilitarian edge. As we follow a patrol, the primary scent is one of burning tow and vinegar. The watchmen carry torches made of bundled hemp soaked in pitch and animal fat. They leave a thick, resinous trail in the air, a scent of scorched pine and heavy, fatty smoke. It is a protective, biting aroma that signals their presence long before they appear. Listen to the rhythm of their movement. Clack thud, clack thud. Their Calighi heavy, nail-studded leather boots strike the basalt blocks with a rhythmic, military precision. Each step echoes off the high, dark walls of the insulae, a sound of order in a world of shadows. As we pass a station of the Vigiles, the excubatorium, the scent profile shifts. Here, the air is dominated by the smell of wet leather and vinegar-soaked sponges, the sipho. These sponges are used to douse small fires before they can leap from roof to roof. The vinegar adds a sharp, acidic sting to the air, a cleansing, medicinal scent that cuts through the lingering musk of the street's gutters. It is a scent of readiness, of a city that knows its own fragility. There is a secondary, grittier note, the smell of the buckets, the hami. Made of woven esparto grass and coated in a thick, black layer of pitch, they release a dry, chemical aroma of tar and sun-baked fiber. This is the scent of the thin red line of ancient Rome, a rhythmic, industrial fragrance that speaks of the constant battle against the elements. Underfoot, the stones are dry now, having shed the river mist, but they retain the scent of the day's dust, a fine, powdery smell of crushed brick and volcanic ash. Your own footsteps join the rhythmic pulse of the patrol. The air is so quiet that you can hear the soft, sibilant hiss of the pitch as it melts on the torches. The silence of the watchman's hour is a waiting silence. You feel the weight of the million people sleeping in the wooden tinderboxes of the insulae. The smell of the vinegar and the pitch is the smell of a collective exhale, a rhythmic assurance that the city is being guarded while it dreams. As the patrol moves past a darkened shrine to Vesta, the scent of the sacred, clean oak fire drifts out to meet the acrid pitch of the torches. For a moment, the holy and the utilitarian are joined, the scent of the eternal flame and the scent of the flame that protects. It is a balanced, comforting aroma that settles the nerves. You lean back into the shadows of a stone arch, watching the flickering orange glow of the torches recede down the alley. The world of the 21st century, with its electric lights and silent sensors, is an impossibility. Here, safety is a physical set. Peace is a rhythmic trudge through the dark. The night is reaching its final, thinnest point. The air is clear, the vinegar is sharp, and the pitch is heavy. You are drifting on the edge of the morning, wrapped in the scent of the vigil and the steady rhythmic heartbeat of the city's protectors. The city is safe. The fire is contained. You are resting in the shadow of the watch, cradled by the scent of the stone and the flame. We have walked through the salt and the silt, the honey and the hide, and now we arrive at the threshold of the light. The deep, ink wash of the Roman night is beginning to thin into a pale, translucent violet. This is the aurora, the moment when the city's breath changes one last time, shifting from the heavy, stagnant sense of the dark to the crisp, expectant aroma of the new day. The air is at its coldest now, a bracing, crystalline chill that seems to scrub the atmosphere clean. As the first light touches the high marble peaks of the Capitoline, the primary scent is one of pure, unadulterated stone. It is the smell of the city as a mountain, dry, mineral, and vast. It is a rhythmic cooling that has reached its peak, a silent, gray scent that precedes the heat. Listen to the rhythm of the city waking. Rumble clatter, rumble clatter. The heavy grain carts, barred from the streets during the day, are making their final push toward the markets. The scent of the mules, the musky, sweet aroma of dry sweat and hay, mixes with the scent of the heavy iron wheel rims sparking against the basalt. It is a gritty, hard-working smell that signals the end of our sanctuary. As we stand on the heights of the Janiculum, looking back over the sprawling mass of Rome, a soft breeze rises from the gardens of the Trastevere. It carries the scent of the damp, earthbound jasmine and the sharp, green snap of wet boxwood hedges. It is a morning dew of the vegetable world, a rhythmic, refreshing wave that washes over the city's rooftops, pushing back the lingering charcoal smoke of the night. Beneath this freshness, the scent of the bakers' ovens, now in their final golden bloom, rises to meet us. It is a warm, yeasty anchor in the cool morning air, the smell of the city's first breakfast. And from the temples, the first morning sacrifices begin. A thin, rhythmic ribbon of frankincense drifts upward, powdery, citrusy, and holy, marking the transition from the private world of sleep to the public world of the gods. Underfoot, the dew has turned the dust of the streets into a fine, dark paste. The smell is earthy and humble, a reminder that every grand marble column is rooted in the same dark soil. Your own breath is a steady, rhythmic cloud in the chill air. The world is soft, the edges of the buildings blurred by a fine, pearlescent mist. The silence of the dawn is different from the silence of the midnight. It is a silence of potential. You feel the weight of the day's coming noise, the shouting of the hawkers, the clatter of the forum, the roar of the crowds. But for this brief, violet moment, the city is still yours. The smell of the dawn is the smell of a clean slate. You catch the scent of the Tiber one last time, a cool, muddy exhale that feels grounded and eternal. The river doesn't care about the dawn. It simply flows, a rhythmic constant in a world of shifting light. The hearth of our journey is cooling now, its embers turning to fine white ash. You have traveled through the olfactory map of an empire, from the sharp ammonia of the fullers to the sweet honeyed wax of the scholars. You have breathed the air of 52 AD, a world that was louder, harsher, and more vibrantly alive than anything we know. You lean against a cooling stone parapet, watching the first sliver of the sun ignite the gold on the roof of the Temple of Jupiter. The night is over. The journey is complete. The scent of the violet dawn is a promise of rest, a final, fragrant veil that settles over your eyes. The world is waking, but you are drifting into the deepest, most rhythmic sleep of all. The scents of Rome are fading into the background, leaving only the cool, clean air of your own room and the steady, peaceful beat of your heart. The violet light of Rome has faded into the soft darkness of your own room. The weight of the centuries has been lifted, leaving you light, floating, and profoundly at peace. The rhythmic sounds of the ancient city, the dripping water, the clicking sandals, the crackling torches, have dissolved into the rhythmic pulse of your own breath. And out. And out. You are safe. You are held. The history of the world is a long, slow story, and you have found your place in its quietest chapter. The scent of the charcoal and the rose, the salt and the stone, is now just a lingering ghost, a gentle lullaby for your senses. Feel the coolness of the air on your skin and the warmth of the blankets beneath you. There is nowhere else you need to be. There is nothing else you need to do. The city of Rome has closed its eyes, and so may you. Let the darkness be absolute. Let the silence be your sanctuary. As the last ember of the midnight hearth glows and fades, let yourself sink deeper into the velvet folds of sleep. The journey is done. The night is yours. Sleep now, slowly, drifting into the stillness of the ancient night.